President, I'm here to do something every senator does at one time or another in their career, and that's pay tribute to another politician. One back in my home state of Georgia who's retiring at the end of this year after serving 2 terms as governor of the state of Georgia. And I'm going to say great things about him because he's a great guy, he's a personal friend, he's done a wonderful job. But I tell you what else I'm going to do. I'm going to do something a little different. We elected Nathan Deal in Georgia. We had no idea at the time that it was a 3-for-1. Because when Nathan came, his wife Sandra and his chief of staff, Chris Riley. And the 3 of them have been a new A-team in Georgia. You remember the A-team on television? When you had a real disaster coming, you need real help, you call these guys, they come in from nowhere, and they'd solve your problem. They were tough, they were smart. Well, Nathan's that way too. He's tough and he's smart. He's also crafty enough to realize your wife always knows better, and he gave her a lot of role in education in Georgia, and she's improved it a lot. And Chris Riley, his chief of staff and his pilot and a good friend, did a tremendous job to be a great liaison to all of government, whether it's other states, whether it was Congress, the Senate, and the House. Nathan has been a great governor of our state. You know, Georgia is now the #1 place in the country to do business, and we've been elected, I think, 6 consecutive years, or 6 out of the last 7 years, as the best place in America to do business. Georgia's thought about by many people who think about it as Gone with the Wind and the Old South. Georgia's now the 8th largest state in the United States of America, moving under his administration from 10th to 8th. Our votes in the Electoral College are prized now. Our role in politics is rising, and our influence in the country is rising, all because of that. He's also brought new jobs to Georgia, not just repeat jobs or old jobs where we've added on, but new jobs. Nathan was smart enough to realize that when America started investing in cyber technology, and when we found out Fort Gordon, which is in Augusta, Georgia, was going to be the cyber command of the United States of America, our governor didn't sit there and say, isn't that great, and go brag about what we were doing in the federal government. He established a cyber center in Augusta, Georgia, and invested $50 million initially to get it started. So today they're young Georgia children starting careers in Georgia in cyber technology, which is going to be a proving ground for jobs in the future, all because of Nathan's realization that if you build it, they will come. And if we built Fort Gordon, which the federal government did, and if the Cyber Command represented by the United States Army and the Signal Corps is going to be our cyber watchdog, then if we have a cyber educational tool like the STEM subjects in our elementary and high schools in our state, we'll do so much better off. Nathan did something else that very few governors do. He built on another governor's success and made it even better. Zell Miller, a former member of this body and a person that I succeeded after he left, created the Hope Scholarship in Georgia, which everybody's heard about. Hope Scholarship in Georgia, most of our kids who enter from our state a college go on a full scholarship, paid for by the Georgia Lottery, called the Hope Scholarship. Zell beat me running for governor on that program. Excuse me, and he made me a big believer. And it's worked great. But Nathan said, you know, that's not good enough. We don't want to just help the top students who have B averages or better. We want to bring up the bottom students so they have a chance to go and grow and maybe one day go to college. So he created something called REACH. REACH is a program that he designed to be sure and reach out and bring those who were not getting help what they should get. It stands for Realizing Educational Achievement Can Happen. And it's scholarships that go to kids who had no chance of having it happen, who subscribe to building themselves up and making themselves better. Now in Georgia, we've got a lot of kids, and a lot on the Hope Scholarship, but 1,800 of them on the REACH Scholarship are kids who would have never been in college under a scholarship otherwise. His wisdom, his knowledge, and his ability to bring that REACH program together is building future contributors who otherwise might have been future wards of the state. Ironically, we're debating now the criminal justice system in the Senate. We're going to have some votes later on today on that. Had big debates about it all day long. Been talking about both sides of the issue. Are you letting them out too early? Are you not letting them out too early? Nathan Deal was the origin and the originator of reform of the criminal justice system to see to it those who are getting ready to get out anyway. Let me repeat that. Those who are getting ready to get out anyway had an opportunity to, when they got out, have more of an education or better preparedness for work by creating programs that they could volunteer for in prison if they wanted to. Not just to bribe them to study or do something well, but give them a chance to sell them the promise of a job and a future, rather than just be a recidivist on an early release. And by doing so, there's some amazing statistics that have happened in our state. In terms of the number of people that have gotten released that are getting jobs who before weren't, the increase in the number of African Americans in prison that are getting out and going to work rather than going back to prison. The people he's reached out to in our prison system, we have had a decrease in our population, not because we didn't convict them, not because they aren't serving their time, but because those who, when they got out under the REACH program, and under the other programs we've got an education in their last couple of years in prison and got out and made something of their lives. That's the way you do things. It's easy for any of us to take the easy things to do. But the hard things to do are something a lot of politicians won't reach out for. But Nathan Deal has. Now, something else hard is getting kids to read. I have 3 children, 8 grandchildren, was chairman of the Board of Education in my state, and I know some kids love to read, but a lot of them hate it. And I used to always tell kids, you know, if you can't read, you can't do anything. If you can read, you can do everything. Nathan's wife, Sandra, who's one of the most wonderful women you could ever possibly hope to meet, dedicated her service as First Lady to reading comprehensive kids. In 8 years, she visited 1,000 schools in our 189 school systems in 159 counties. The reading scores in our state have gone up, not down. The focus on reading has gone up in our schools. And because of Sandra's leadership and her example, because she got in and did it, then we're making wonders. When the federal government went out with our program on parks, you know the little passbook we get now where you can go to the federal parks and get it stamped, kind of like a passport? She did the same thing for our state parks, partnering with the federal government to increase the use by our kids and our families of the park lands that they've paid for as taxpayers. And I could go on and on and on, but to do so might be to talk too much. But you can't say too much about somebody who's contributed 8 years of their life to their state and brought home so many things, first in economic development, first in job creation, first in really making a difference in education, first in reforming the criminal justice system, first in getting cyber technology a main heart, soul of Georgia's focus in the future, all those things. And Nathan Deal and his 2 partners, the A-team, Chris Riley, his chief of staff, and his wife, Sandra, deserve equal credit with Nathan. I know I'm supposed to just brag about Nathan, but I want to brag about all of them because I know in working with them daily that those 3 as a combination make a great team.